introducing Experience Anatomy, and Experience Anatomy is one of our enterprise members that support the PERG Online website. So we very much appreciate your time and attention to PERG Online. And what PERG Online is about is bringing continuing education classes to the fingertips of the person who is looking for continuing education classes or comparing and contrasting. So welcome to our PERG, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about Experience Anatomy.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Let me say first off, we love advertising in PERG. We get so many students from you guys. It's been a really great resource to really spread the word about what we're doing because we're so unique and it's kind of hard to get out there. So Experience Anatomy is a bioskills lab based in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're really unique on a number of different fronts. The biggest one is that we're really open-minded and we're sincerely dedicated to all people. I mean, even non-clinicians learning about their bodies from real human anatomy. And so that makes our policies, our programs that we lead. We actually have some that are open to the public and including massage therapists, which is such a special gift to be able to have MTs come into the cadaver lab. There aren't many bioskills labs in the country that do it. I can literally only think of a handful. Another thing that's really unique about us that kind of dovetails in with that mission is that we have our own whole body donation program. That's our sister organization, the Experience Anatomy Foundation. So it also lets us have like really kind of in my mind, the highest kind of ethical values around it as well, that we know where our donors are coming from, that we get to talk to their families, that we get to be part of that process from beginning to end. So I think our participants can really feel the care that we take in that process to make our labs really accessible, to feel safe, and to feel like the most positive experience really for any person, whether they're an MD getting additional like clinical training or whether they're a massage therapist and it's their first time seeing a cadaver, let alone doing human dissection.
I remember when I took my cadaver study, there was a man there who was very specifically looking at the temporal mandibular joint. That was it. And then I think some of the cranial nerves. And he was a physician, and he's just like, "That's what I'm here for." We're like, "We're here for fascia." And so it was just wild to have all these various med students or people in practice who just wanted to really get in there and dig in, literally, sorry, um, together in the room because we all come with different perspectives. So I was looking at what's the thinnest sheet of fascia that I could get a hold of. And I found that, yeah, down at the knee, right? So yes, wild to have a lot of various practitioners and curiosities in the room with you when you're in the lab. So just to help people get oriented, is Experience Anatomy available to people nationwide, or is it more interested in a particular region? And by the way, if you are multi-located, let me know, but I know you're in a major city in North Carolina.
Yeah,
Which
so
city
we're
would that be?
in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're literally 5 minutes from the airport. We offer like kind of have two main dissection offerings, as well as a free open house. The open house is really more for folks who are local. It's not really a dissection experience. You just get to see some of our persections. It doesn't count for continuing ed. But our dissection club, again, we usually have more local and regional folks who attend that since it's 4 hours and meets once per month. It has a really accessible price point, but 4 hours to learn dissection is kind of a tall task. But if you have one kind of specific thing that you want to see in that time, you will likely be successful. And then our kind of most popular offering that we have is our 2-day dissection intensives. We actually just finished running the last one of this year, this past weekend. And we do, even though again, we're located in Charlotte, our experiences are in person. We do attract participants from around the country, and I would even say international. At least we've had some Canadians so far, and I think maybe an Australian. Um, so you don't have to be in Charlotte to come do our stuff, but you do have to come to Charlotte to do our stuff.
Right, right. Well, it helps to be. I know there's virtual labs that they're working on trying to make it feel like you're slicing something, but no, there's nothing compared to being in the lab, in the experience with other people, crossing those boundaries and borders, like I always say in PERG Online. So tell me a little bit more. I've got lots and tons of questions. Tell me a little bit more about your experience as Fauna Moore. How did you find out about Experience Anatomy? Are you a licensed massage and bodywork therapist, or what is your background, and
I
how
love
did you
this
get
story.
connected?
So my background in 2012, I am an LMBT. I've been licensed since 2002. I was in school in 2001, licensed in 2002. Anyway, so 10 years into practice, I was kind of bored. I wasn't really loving all the CEs I'd been taking. And I was like, you know what? I could learn to use some more anatomy. And as a kid, my mom's a chiropractor. I remember watching dissection videos with her. This is the long version of the story, but I'll be quick. And I was like, oh, cool. Maybe I bet, many years have passed since I was an 8-year-old. I bet they have cooler anatomy videos, dissection videos in the world now. And so I like went on to Amazon and it was like, you'll like this. Because again, I'm also like interested in fascia, had just read anatomy trains, like my mind's kind of in that way. And it was like, you'll like the Integral Anatomy series from Gil Headley. And I don't know if you've seen those, but it's a 4 series,
Mm-hmm.
4 DVDs to tell you how long ago it was. And so I got the DVDs. I watched them ravenously. Like I was so blown away by his explanations, by the way that he showed the interrelatedness of the body, his take on it. And was like, this is the coolest guy ever. What else does he do? And so I was hoping that maybe he had a book or like a workshop. And then I saw that me, little massage therapist me, could go and do a 6-day dissection with him at a price that was like pretty affordable. And so 6 months later, I was in the dissection lab with him, and that my whole life has changed since then. And so every year, I would spend all my free time and money trying to get to the lab, to where I was doing, he had some longer labs that were like weeks long. He could tell my interest level and the amount I was hanging out in some like special projects, and so I was able to participate in those. And then, sheer coincidence, 2016, Jamie, the CEO and founder of Experience Anatomy, actually reached out to my husband, who is an architect, and said, "I have the craziest thing for you, but I need to build a cadaver lab." And he's like, "You know what? My wife does that." And he kind of pushed us together. Even before, like at the lab's inception, I was able to get to know Jamie, to be a friend of the lab. So I was still practicing massage and like helping out with their dissection programs and just kind of being around. And then in 2021, just the stress of the pandemic made me want to step further away from massage therapy. And I started being at the lab kind of as my full-time gig.
It's nice to be a hybrid of different things, especially after practicing for several years, really getting your foundations settled, and then finding a way to bring massage therapy into other careers and vice versa. You've probably inspired a lot of massage therapists to dig in and to get to work on really knowing the anatomy as well, but inspired maybe some others to learn a little bit about massage therapy, which I'm never going to have a problem with.
No,
so
absolutely.
so
And our courses like draw a real mixed group of people, which I really appreciate and enjoy. And I would say different than some of the other like kind of non-traditional lab spaces that I've been in that tend to be more body work and like movement people, that we have a more like practicing clinicians that blend in with our body workers at our labs.
oh, fantastic, fantastic. Are children invited, or are those more of the experience days?
Oh man,
Like, is there an experience for children? Let's put it that way. Well, I guess that's a better way of putting it.
age of the child, the maturity of the child, and the interest of the child. So we do have a lot of like field trip programs that come to the lab. Those
Okay,
are
that's what I was wondering.
high school level, because it's important to kind of have an appreciation and understanding of anatomy before you layer on the many complexities of dealing with real human tissue. Um,
Right.
Open houses, again, if you had a young person who is maybe like 8 and up, who was of their own initiative, really interested in the human body, then the open house would be a perfect place to drop in. But if like the parent is really interested in anatomy and like wants to like put that on their kid, which I have observed, that's where this is coming from. Like, I mean, we've had little kids come in the lab, and rather than being like, they came into the lab wanting to be a surgeon, they leave the lab wanting to be a singer. Like, they're like, you know what? Sorry, I'm not the kid and I shall be a diva. And it's like, oh, cool, great information to know. And, if maybe there was just a little bit of a different, like, more patience with the little one, it may have had a better outcome. But yeah, we're not exactly place for kids, except, but we're not a not a place for kids. It
I
depends.
get you. I can summarize this for you. You have classroom management skills that are very good. So you assess the situation and you realize this may be an impact in a positive or negative way for the rest of the classroom, and at this time maybe not, or at this time yes, but here are the ground rules for 8-year-old adult human. So now, so this is more focused toward people who are obviously a child. That's a bit, I just remember reading something on your site about field trips, I think is what it was. And to me, a field trip thinks like you are 8. And I was like, do they really have young kids come in? So I'm glad you gave me a little bit of an explanation that,
Speaking
oh,
of,
smells. So if somebody were to be an adult and they're a licensee of massage and bodywork therapy, a yoga instructor, or I'd say a physician probably has been through labs before. What is the experience like? Am I expecting a very strong, pungent smell over the couple of days, or are we using a different
sure.
medium?
Yes, I can pick up what you're putting down. So we all of our tissue in our lab is embalmed, which the embalming methods that we use are different than traditional embalming. So if you were in high school and like dissected a frog, our lab smells nothing like that.
Oh, thank you.
If you've been
It
in
did.
a
Yeah.
college gross anatomy lab where you had a semester with donors, there's a really good chance our lab doesn't smell anything like that either, that kind of strong formalin smell. Um, we mostly use soft fix donors, and the chemicals that we use are generally less. I can never say, like, no, there'll never be a bad smell in a cadaver lab. That's not a realistic thing to put out there. And people find them to be generally milder than they expect.
Yes, and for those listening, and watching, there's something called menthol you stick on your nose. But when I was in my lab, I did not need that. I was not turned off by smells, which was nice. It was nice. I needed a break because my brain got overwhelmed. That's great. I stepped out of the room, but when it came to the experience, it was very clean. Labs in this situation are under a lot of scrutiny to make sure that you are respecting the donor, and that very much I appreciated as well. Like when we were first introduced to the cadaver in my class, I can't say this is how your lab does it, but there was some talk about we're not going to give you the person's name because of this reason. And we do recommend you name this person. Please be respectful in your choice of name. And we all came up with Mike and Joe and Jennifer. And we were just reminded that this person had a spirit and a life prior to their donating their wonderful physical substance to our learning experience. And I really appreciated that.
I
So,
actually come from that same kind of vibe. And if we look at like the lineage, let's say, of like non-traditional lab spaces, I think there's a lot of overlap with the people who are behind the scenes, who have been doing this over the years. You can see my cat fur just puffing away.
oh, hi,
Um,
Kitty.
yeah. But absolutely. We do in our 2-day programs name our donors just as a different way to refer to them rather than as a number. And yes, anonymity is a big important part of body donation, that we make sure that we keep the donors really personal, like personal identifiable information just to them. But we do try to, let people know the cause of death, if they had any surgeries, their kind of general health history, depending on what we find out. We even ask our donors like hobbies and a little bit of lifestyle things if we can find out what they did for work. So it was really sweet. Again, in this past weekend, one of the donors was a biology teacher. And so, like, that was so sweet to know that that person really wanted to give back to science in that way. It felt really good.
Aw. Yes, I think I've donated my organs, but I haven't thought about the donor program. I don't, let's not go into that because that's just probably big long conversation. Tell me a little bit. What is your favorite memorable experience with beginning to either assist or to teach directly? Get inside the head of the being the instructor, and what do you remember as something shareable on the internet? Please
Know that
be
I
fair.
necessarily can take a short soundbite on that. But it's just incredible. I just know the lights that doing cadaveric work have turned on inside of me, whether it's, like big appreciation for every day, and that every day in this body is an absolute gift. Or how beautiful we are inside, or getting to see, really getting, the moral of where I'm going with this is just to see people light up. It really makes the student feel so alive and to have such a powerful impact on their practice. And again, I'm not teaching techniques, I'm not teaching a modality, but getting to teach and share things that are just such a bigger umbrella that will have a really broad impact to how these folks interact with, the hundreds, if not thousands, of clients that they treat after attending one of our programs.
I can say from my experience that burnout, 29 years now, burnout is a reality. And I felt a whole new uh, booster shot after being in the lab. So I could see three-dimensionally. I could see myself, not on that person, but I could see myself separating the tissues and find just amazing, like an abdominal cavity. And it's what? How did the body figure out to be this body? So it's just amazing. I have a question about plastinates. Have you ever read Gunther von Hagen's or Hagen? I don't know how you say his name.
Oh,
Book about.
I can ask you. I have met Gunther von Hagens. I have dissected
No,
at
you gotta be kidding me. No
for,
way. Wait.
for
Ah, la 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 la. Did you go to his lab over in Europe?
Yeah, I slept in the dorms. Yeah. So I was part of, I don't know if you saw it, or, this was in 2018 to like 2020. And then it was featured at not this most recent Fascia Research Congress, but the one prior to that. There was this group that was established through the Fascia Research Society, the Fascial Net Plastination Project. And again, that was one of those special projects that was like, that Gil was like, hey, Fauna, you're obsessed with this. Why don't you go and help with this? And so I was actually able to go to Guben, I think on 3 different trips, four different trips. Oh my God. To dissect at the Plastinarium to help create some fascial focused plastinate, some small specimens, and then the one kind of Freya, the big world only fascial focused plastinate that's on permanent display in Berlin, Body Worlds Berlin.
Wait, what? Huh? Something I haven't known. Now, how do you say his name?
Gunther
Gunther
von Hagens. Mhm.
Van Hagens. Uh, you just got me re-inspired. I don't remember the name of his book, but I bought the anatomy book where you can flip through and show your students because I teach NMT classes. So love that book. And I always give them the story of remember fascia is cloudy. You a lot of times remove it and then it's forgotten. So I love that you told me just Freya is this fascia being that I'm going to go look for now. But I
I can,
just love the story about the forgotten bit. Like, oh, we don't need to know about that. It's because we have to see the organ inside and it just gets forgotten. So I love his book for that reason. I think it was the supplemental, if you want to call it that, is the hardcover that goes along with the book. Buy it, buy it, buy it. Or if you all have your own version, that's fine too. I suppose we're supposed to be talking about experience anatomy here. Speaking of Gil Headley, experience anatomy, and others that are out there in the world of bridging massage therapy and body work with anatomy, is Gil interested in coming in, or is this like something that Gil's like, here you go, good for you, gotta love it? Because I know he does a nerve. He came recently to the area, I think. I don't know.
yeah.
Somebody
So
showed
I
up to a
also
nerve one.
helped dissect on that project. I've been going back and forth. So there is a wonderful lab in Colorado Springs called the Institute of Anatomical Research. Full disclosure, I am a member on that board. I love them so much. They're a complete nonprofit. They're a different animal than Experienced Anatomy entirely. They really only do whole body dissection and really cater to non-traditional folks who are leading dissections in their lab. It's Gil's home base. He is such a sweet setup. There is no way that Experience Anatomy could ever compare just like to the pricing and convenience of literally a lab in his backyard. When he stopped Charlotte as part of the nerve tour, he, popped into the lab. I got to show him a bunch of cool stuff. Like it's all very good vibes, and it doesn't make any
Well,
practical sense for Gil to come and do things at EA.
okay, Gil, I've put it out there for you.
Um,
Who knows?
yeah, who knows indeed. But yeah, it would be really cool. Yeah.
So, speaking of on the horizon, so I know you all are doing fantastic work. I've heard something excellent thing from students who have found you by PERG, that they've really appreciated having an anatomy lab in their backyard, not being excluded from universities or making it difficult to find a university class they're allowed to be in and all that. They've really come back and gotten inspired by anatomy because of Experience Anatomy. So if you are planning to keep going as is more than fine. But are there other thoughts and feelings about what's going to be happening in the future that you're willing or able to share?
Yeah, so I
Hi,
have two
Kitty.
exciting things, Becky. So I have two kind of exciting things. So let me scroll back a little bit. So since maybe 2021, we've been offering our 2-day dissection intensives at EA. And those are blazing fast. Oh my gosh, to do a whole body dissection in 2 days is really quick. But folks get to see a lot. They don't have to invest a whole ton of time and resources in traveling, staying somewhere. So we make it more accessible in that way. But June next year, 2026, we're going to offer our first 3-day dissection intensive. So I'm excited about changing that offering. And the other thing that's really exciting, and I don't think we'll just have to see how it goes next year.
Yeah,
So a new type of fixative called Fix for Life. That's a soft embalming method that allows for a lot of movement of the donor and is wonderful. It smells kind of like Fruity Pebbles. And it's just a really cool new embalming method that I feel very lucky. I have gotten a lot of experience working with this tissue, and it really keeps the fascial planes intact in a way that's more true to life. So a formalin, the way embalming works, it's a kind of chemical cooking that links the proteins together. And depending on the chemicals and methods used, it can kind of link those proteins in different ways and with different strengths. So traditional formalin embalming is great. It really links those proteins really strong and hard, and it makes all those fascia membranes much more easy to see and much more structured. On the like complete other end of that spectrum is unembalmed tissue, which is also great because again, the those fascial membranes retain a lot more of their liquid and mucosal and like flexible properties. And again, different fascias have different properties and characteristics. So we're using it as a really big, broad term. But the Fix for Life kind of is the perfect in between where you really get a sense, and like the sun is making my face look crazy, where you really get a sense of what the fascial membranes are like in life while still having them be robust enough to dissect and learn from in relationship.
that is wild. I never thought about that. So the cadaver we worked with was, I guess you could say, frozen. There was no fixative, and that produced after the fifth day some interesting stickiness.
And
But
like those people get really excited because they're like, it's like real life, and it's like everything once a person is deceased is going to be an abstraction of life, and
hmm
it's just a
hmm
choice around what you get to save and what you get to see and what you don't, right? And so all of them are going to have these different positive and negatives. And so I would advise people to try lots of different, or people who are real dissection enthusiasts to like experiment and experience different embalming methods because there's going to be benefit in learning from the different ways that the donors are preserved.
Absolutely. So, are there ways that massage therapists can get involved once they've taken the class and gotten excited? Like, I'm imagining there's a few of us massage nerds out there that are like, "What's next?" Do you have a mailing list that you are involved where somebody might need to volunteer at the lab to help out, or are
So
you
full
guys?
disclosure, I don't
Oh,
really have
that's right. You can't do that. What's
Positions.
that?
I said I don't really have any volunteer positions. I
Right.
think if there were, they would need to have like specific lab skills, or specific emergency medical skills. Those are the two things that are helpful to me in the lab. Just if you're like a nice person, I love hanging out. But but the way it works
Tried
is
that
like
a couple times.
just come to the lab and like do the thing, right? And
Right.
like dissection club is the way where you're able to have that like kind of 4 hour thing. Like I learn things every single time in the lab. I have thousands of hours of dissection under my belt, and literally every single time I'm still learning new stuff. And so if massage therapists are interested, I mean, the move is to just be around and to take our programs. And
Right.
that's
Kind of like
I
what you
think
did
the best
with
way
Gil.
involved and to be around. And I think that any kind of further relationship would kind of develop from there. Maybe the way that massage therapists could get involved would be other folks who are offering CEs and other teachers that there might be some cadaveric anatomy portion that would be interesting to their classes. We also
Yeah.
have a really beautiful conference room with very comfy chairs that could be moved to make room for a massage table.
I'm sorry. Did we not put that on PERG as a resource? Since you are a enterprise member, you can put
Oops.
in there things you're selling, lab tables and whatnot. So I always try to remind people that that exists as well, because remember, the eyes of the CE student are also eyes of the instructor looking for classes to teach. And where do I go?
Yeah, yeah.
Use
So we
that one.
love to have providers come in and use our space in that way. And it's a little bit of a balance because if you don't have like cadaver experience, there's a pretty steep learning curve. So even though you may have the book down, like you might be able to name every structure of the body, it's
Right.
going to be such a different thing when seeing it on a cadaver. So there's a lot of kind of like interesting things to just kind of dance through whether the amount of help that the lab might need to support a
Don't
provider in
worry.
a class.
We don't have to go and assist. We can go and show up and take a class. That
Yeah,
is
but
fine.
it's like a cool thing. It's a cool thing to entertain. And we do want to collaborate with more teachers, with other folks. We have a pretty big like social media presence. And again, I think not to get too far out, but a thing that's kind of on the horizon for us is adding more online education courses. And they're definitely, we're looking for collaborators. So, if there are folks who want to teach courses and feel that cadaveric anatomy would be helpful in doing that, we would love to talk to you. Yeah.
Those are some good points. And I will point out, I'll just show you my bias. I am because I'm 50, so I'm up in I'm in the other side of the century.
Okay.
Um, Live courses, I will never be the person that says everybody should take classes online because of location or ability to get places. I understand people have lives, and but as far as at least 12 hours, I will always be a proponent of that for our licensing board to, well, we aren't the ones that make the decision anyways. It's a statute. But I will always be a proponent of that, because even I say, oh, I don't want to go to CE. And then I show up and I'm like all inspired and my mind is focused again. So I'm glad that you might be doing some online classes, but I hopefully that'll inspire people to also show up in person, because that going across and bridging those ways of learning is going to be very helpful for an anatomy study.
Well,
I can
and
imagine.
therapists are so tactile. Like, I mean, our hands are our eyes, right? And so to be able to like get to know the textures in the body and their relationships, it means so much more. And as much as I could make a really great video explaining all of that, it will never be like actually doing it for yourself. So yeah, I think there's always going to be a really big place for live courses and what we're offering. And, I would love to have like online course and, in development explaining different types of fascia and how they look. And that could be something I think that would definitely be helpful to folks who come and take in-person cadaver labs and to a therapist who maybe, has no interest in actually being in the cadaver lab.
Well, Fauna, thank you so much for being one of us so that you can draw us into your lab. I believe you found out about PERG well before we took over PERG, and you knew Nancy Toner Weinberg. So I'm so glad that when I took over, I was able to follow up with you and get you in that book. So, and I'm glad to hear that it has been such a positive experience for you, that both PERG Online as and the PERG Magazine. And these videos that we are doing, they will go on YouTube, of course, but they're also linked up on the website for the enterprise members that are supporting the site. So I really appreciate your being there. So what is the website name, address?
Yes, so
Where would they go?
yeah, www.experienceanatomy.com. And then click on, it says courses, and you'll find our calendar. That's the best way to see when all of our offerings are and to find out more details.
That's right. Where can I have my CEs? How many? Soon as I need it, like on Mondays at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Perfect. No, I'm joking. That's what I hear a lot of people really enjoy, is they get to be discriminatory about what they want out of their CEs, and one of them is time of day. But in time of day and week and weekday or weekend. So I appreciate your taking your time to be there with us today and adding to our CE experience that we have over the years. So I
Yeah.
look forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much for sharing all that background about the other labs that you are connected to. I have a sneaking feeling, since I am known to be a connector, that I'll probably be reaching out to you someday in the future saying, hey, let's do this. Let's go to Germany. That's what's
Anytime.
on the horizon for PERG, is I have some ideas out there that someone else has also instilled in me, one being CE in Kenya, CE on safari, which has been something that's been in the works for years, as well as, well, heck, now I know somebody that knows Gunter. You never know.
Well, I know
So,
even guys who are doing fascial focused dissection at the Plastinarium, and I'm pretty sure it's called Fascia Anatomy Labs. It was the designer of that Freya project, Gary Carter, and one of our other like co-dissection leads, Jihan Adem, who's a Bowen practitioner, are leading dissections that massage therapists can go to in Germany at the Plastinarium, I think 3 times a year. And anyway, you could probably petition the board and make those count.
no, I'm not doing that.
But
That's a
you
whole
know, my
other
point being is
story.
like I want people to get into a lab, and if it's in the lab with me, awesome, wonderful. And if it's in the lab with Gil or someone else in Colorado, awesome, wonderful. If it's in Guben with Gary and Jahan, awesome and wonderful.
You
Like,
know what I say about, yeah, all those, like, is it are the agencies giving us permission? What I say about that is we'll find a way to find that NCBTNB or other agency that says, yes, you can get CE credit for this. The one nice thing in North Carolina is there are at least 5 CEs that could be used that are not so restrictive to NCBTNB or other agencies. And it is more like on the one-on-one study. It's 0700 in rules and regulations. You can read about those various things. So maybe we could use that at least for 5 hours and but whatnot. But I'll make sure they get their NCBTMB to go with it. No. So thank you so much. I'm so glad you're in our backyard, and we look forward to I look forward to meeting you in person someday.
yeah, I would love to have you join us in the lab. I'm so excited that what we get to offer to massage therapists, and I feel like it really uplifts the field and just expands what's possible for MTs and really anyone who wants to get to know their body.